Hi everyone, this is Chelsea Robinson from Rodeo Realty, bringing you another segment of Getting Real in the SFV. So you've gotten your offer accepted, and congratulations, what's next? What happens from here can vary from not only state to state, but from region to region. So today's topic is for everyone: how the escrow process works in Los Angeles. Believe it or not, every state is different on how the transaction proceeds. Some states, like California, are escrow states, meaning the escrow company helps facilitate the sale. Other states have title companies or attorneys that do this. I personally have practiced in another state as well, and where there it's called a closing table state. What that means is that everything you've seen on House Hunters or other HGTV shows, everyone shows up to the title company, sits around a table, signs their documents, slides over their keys, and everyone celebrates. Here, not so much. Once an offer is accepted, the documents are sent over to the escrow company, who acts as a neutral third party in collecting the money and ensuring the documents for the recording of the county are accurate. They will issue what's called escrow instructions to both the buyer and seller on how the deed will be recorded and how the seller wants to be paid. Also, once accepted, timelines for inspections, the reviewing of disclosures, appraisal, and loan contingencies will all begin. These are fluid and negotiable within the contract. However, the standard verbiage of California Association of Realtors Residential Purchase Agreement states 3 business days for the wiring of the initial deposit, 17 days for inspection and appraisal, and 21 days for the loan contingency. For the purpose of this video, we are going to assume that the buyer is obtaining a loan, in which case the appraisal and loan contingency would be of concern. That being said, cash buyers would not have a loan contingency, and they may choose to waive an appraisal contingency if they wish. Something to note is that only one of these dates specifies business dates. The wiring of the initial deposit deals with banking hours, and as such, it gets that distinction. In these early days, a buyer has an opportunity to perform any inspections they'd like, review all disclosures received, and those like the sellers, the preliminary title report, the natural hazards disclosures, all of which have been generated by the escrow company or of the seller. Once all inspections are completed and reviewed, the buyers then have the opportunity to review the findings and estimates and submit a request for repairs. Many people buy homes as is and skip this step, but many more will ask for some sort of credit or repair work to be completed for either circumstance to happen. At this point, the sellers and buyers can find some sort of agreement, and once that's achieved, we can remove the inspection contingency. Running at the very same time as the inspections is the appraisal and loan process. Once the offer has been accepted, a lender can lock in the loan rate and begin submission of the file to underwriting. The lender will order an appraisal to be done, and once the appraiser has been assigned to the file, the appraiser will reach out to the listing agent typically to schedule a time to view the home. A few days later, the findings will be submitted to the lender, who will provide them to the buyer. If the home appraises, great. And if it doesn't, there are still few options. The buyer can come up with a difference, the seller can lower the price of the home, they can meet somewhere in the middle, or the buyer can cite the appraisal contingency and cancel the agreement. If the appraisal is sufficient or a plan moving forward is acceptable, the appraisal contingency can be removed. Once the loan has cleared the appraisal stage and the borrower's paperwork has been submitted to underwriting, a final approval will be given by the lender. This means the file is good to go and we're rocking and rolling. On to the final steps. The next step of the lender is to issue what's called a closing disclosure. These are the final numbers for the buyer to agree to. By law, the buyer is required to have 3 days from receipt to review the documents, and so if timing is tight, buyers be sure to acknowledge receipt right away and get that clock started. Once the 3 days are up, loan documents can be sent to the escrow company for signature, and the escrow company will schedule a time with the buyers to either come into the office or have a notary come to facilitate the paperwork. After the paperwork is complete, the papers will be processed and both the buyer's remaining down payment and costs, as well as the lender's funds, will be wired to the escrow company. With all paperwork complete and all funds received, the escrow company can issue the clear to close. Documents are sent to the title company, who will then take them away to the city for recording. Somewhere in these final days, a final walk will be performed. A standard verbiage of the California Association of Realtors contract states the buyer has up to 5 days for closing. This point is also negotiable. Make sure you get with your realtor and schedule an appropriate time for you. Once the city has confirmed recording, the buyers are officially homeowners. Everyone can celebrate and keys may be given. Shortly thereafter, escrow will process the final closeout of the file and issue the seller's checks. Whew, so many steps. While this is how it generally works out, there can always be exceptions to the rules. If you have any questions on buying or selling a home in the San Fernando Valley, or if you want more information, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is below, and my website, ChelseaRobinsonRealEstate.com, is updated in real time with all of the listings hitting the San Fernando Valley and other parts of Los Angeles. Stay tuned for another episode of Getting Real in the SFV, a video series full of tips, tricks, and trends for life in the San Fernando Valley.